My homage to the Supreme Buddha. Buddha is my refuge every day. My homage to the Supreme Dhamma. Dhamma is my refuge every day. My homage to the Supreme Sangha. Sangha is my refuge every day. My homage to the Supreme Triple Gem. Triple Gem is my refuge every day. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Namo Buddhaya. So, as usual, on every Saturday, we conduct the English Dhamma School. So, children, do you know and do you have a understanding why do we need to come to this Dhamma School? What's the reason we need to go to a Dhamma School? What's the purpose? Now we go to school. Don't you go to school? We go to school. Why do we go to school? To learn. To learn what? To learn various subjects. Why do we learn various subjects in the school? After you grow old, when you become matured, don't you have to survive yourself? You have to survive yourself. Then your parents will become grandparents by the time. When you become 20, 25, won't they become grandparents? They'll become grandparents. They will grow older. Then you have to take care of the parents. You have to take care of the relatives around you. Then you have to earn money, isn't it? Without earning money, can we survive as lay disciples? No. So to survive as lay disciples, we need to earn money. So to earn money without having a knowledge, can we get jobs in the country? Can we get? No. Will you all be respected by others when you are not educated? No. Then to earn a living, we need education. We should survive ourselves on our own. But why do we come to the Dhamma school? What's the reason? Now we go to school, in future we need to survive ourselves, to earn money, to live in a good society. Then to escape from to escape from evil deeds that we have done in previous births and in this life. What else? What else? To learn about wholesome and unwholesome, we come to the Dhamma school. To gain merits. To gain merits, we need to learn how to gain merits. Without learning the way of gaining merits, will we be able to gain merits? No, we don't know what is good and bad. Now some people in this world, they do bad things thinking as it is good. Some people steal to survive. Is it good? That's bad. So, some tell lies to survive. Is it good? That's bad. So the reason you come to a Dhamma school, now you all know, to learn about good and bad. But do you get money by just learning good and bad? Then what do you get? But why do we need merits? What's the reason you are gathering merits? Sorry? To attain Nibbana. What is Nibbana? What is Nibbana? Nibbana is, dear children, so far in the Dhamma school, after you were born, once you are born in this world, in any form of way, it could be as a human being, it could be as animals, it could be as a ghost. What's the final suffering that you have to go through? The death. Now how you feel if I keep you away from parents for 2 weeks? How do you feel? Don't you feel sad? You feel sad. So when you know in future, from today onwards, I will never see my parents, I will never see my relatives hereafter, how do you feel? You'll feel very sad. There is no any other fearful state equivalent to death. So death is a state where there's a lot of suffering arises. Then what else? After you're born, what are the difficulties that you go through? Don't you have to grow old one day? Sickness. What else? Growing old. Sickness is a disease. We have to face accidents, go through accidents. Injuries. Is it always small injuries happen always? No. There are big injuries. Sometimes there's no solution. Due to that injury, people die. Then don't you have to separate from loved ones? You have to separate from loved ones. Then don't you have to mix with people that we don't like? We have to mix with people that we don't like. Now we like to be young every day. We like to look beautiful every day. But with a mere desire, can we get it? No. Isn't it suffering? That's suffering. So all these suffering, these difficulties that you have to go through is because of what? Because of what? Because of birth. What is Nibbana? Nibbana means when you eradicate birth, when you're not born in any form of place, when you're not born in any form of way, when you're not born in anywhere in this world, in any form of way, will there be death in future? Will there be diseases? Will you grow older? No. So attaining Nibbana means putting an end to our endless births and deaths. So, the reason we gain merits is to eradicate birth. What else? That's the final goal. What are the other benefits? Until now, let's say in this life we are unable to eradicate birth. In this life we were unable to eradicate birth. Then what will happen to us? We'll be born again. But next life, do you like to come back to this human world? Do you like to come to this human world? Which is better, human world or divine worlds are better? Divine worlds better. So do you like to come to human world? You like to come to the human world or go to a divine world? Divine world. So until you attain Nibbana, we should be safe. We should be in a good place where we can gain merits again in future births. So to gain merits, there are only few worlds. What are the worlds? Human world, divine worlds and Brahma worlds. So when we gain merits, the assurance that we have is we will be born in divine worlds until we attain Nibbana, or else in human worlds. If we are able to become Sotapanna disciples of Supreme Buddha, what's the benefit that we get? We will have only 7 births. Very good. How many births we'll have? Only 7 births. If we have only 7 births, how many times you have to die? 7 times. And if that 7 and Supreme Buddha preached, those 7 births are only within human world, divine worlds and Brahma worlds. Will you be born in animal world? In ghost worlds? In the hell? No, dear children. So what should be your aim or the goal in life to achieve? To become a doctor or engineer? To become a lawyer? What's the first aim? Tell me, children. A monk. What else? Raise hands. What should be our first aim? What is it? Sorry? To? Srimendran. Yeah, a child says the first aim should be is to become a Srimendran. Why? Even if we become doctors, if we have not escaped from hell, if you have not escaped from demon world, won't you be born again in the hell? Won't you again come back to this human world? And some people who come to this human world, who's born in human worlds, due to some mistakes they do, throughout the lifetime they are being imprisoned. They live in the prison. And they are punished, they are sentenced to death. Haven't you heard such people? Is it a peaceful state in their mind? Do they have happiness in their mind? When they recall their family members, when they recall their wives, when they think of their children, how do they feel? They feel sad, isn't it? So even if you become doctors and if you have not escaped from the four planes of miseries, if you have not become the real disciples of a Supreme Buddha, don't you have the danger to be born in bad destination? You have the danger. So while having a goal or ambition to become a good person in the society, apart from that, more than that, what should be our first goal? To become a real disciple of a Supreme Buddha. Because while having that ambition to escape from suffering, can't you still become doctors? Can't you still become engineers? You can become. But what's the assurance? What's the benefits we get? We are successful in this life as well as next life. So children, I think you all have been participating in this Dhamma school and you all know what is good and bad. Now tell me some good things that's good to practice in life. How can you practice Dhamma? Tell me. Metta Bhavana. Very good. Why do we need Metta Bhavana? To eradicate anger in our mind. Now don't we have anger in our mind? Don't you all have? When somebody scolds you, when somebody irritates you, don't you get angry? You get angry. Why is that? Because we have anger in our mind. But did Arahants had anger in their mind? No. Arahants did not have anger in their minds. They eradicated anger. But how did they eradicate anger? With the help of what? With the help of Metta Bhavana. What else? With the help of impermanence meditation. With the help of the meditation of 5 aggregates of clinging. Then the breathing meditation, in-breath and out-breath meditation. Anapanasati meditation. Then Asubha Bhavana. What else? There are a lot of meditation, isn't it? Then Buddhanusati. Didn't you practice Buddhanusati? Yeah, what is Buddhanusati? Contemplation on the, recollecting the Supreme Buddha's great qualities. So, Arahants eradicated lust, anger and delusion. So even for our lives, we should be concerned about our mind as well, isn't it? Now usually people are only concerned about the body, isn't it? We bathe, we buy clothes, we buy vehicles, we build houses to live comfortable. But what do we do for our minds? Nothing. So why do we come to the Dhamma school? To do something for the mind. We come to the Dhamma school to be concerned and do something on behalf of the mind. Why you have to be concerned about the mind? Mind has unwholesome deeds. Mind has defilements. Mind has 3 unwholesome roots. What are the 3 unwholesome roots? Greed, hatred, and delusion. Greed, hatred, and delusion. So we should be heedful children. We should have a mindset, and we should be keen while going to school, while doing our day-to-day activities. We should learn how we can eradicate lust, anger, and delusion in our mind. Why? Why we should be concerned? If you are again born in this world, are we born without lust, anger, and delusion, or with lust, anger, and delusion? With lust, anger, and delusion. If you are born again with lust, anger, and delusion, won't you do bad things? Based on lust, you will do bad things. Based on anger, you will do bad things. You will kill living beings. You will steal. Because of greed, won't you tend to steal? You will tend to steal. Because of greed, won't you engage in sexual misconduct? You will engage in sexual misconduct. Because of greed, won't you tell lies? Now you steal something. Then you get caught. Then person will question you. They will inquire from you. Did you steal this? Then you say no. But is it good? No. You will be escaped in this life. You won't be punished. But what will happen in next life? You will be punished. Even this life, due to a Ditta Dhamma Vediniya karma, you could be punished as well. Or else, until you attain Nibbana, that bad karma may come behind you all. Whose realization is that? A Supreme Buddha's realization, dear children. Now, there were other people who discovered many things, isn't it? There were people who discovered electricity, there were people who discovered the telephone, there were people who discovered what? The computer. There were people who discovered many principles and many scientific laws. There were people who discovered many scientific laws. But why they never invented? Why nobody discovered this world as impermanent? Did anybody discover, other than a Supreme Buddha, there is lust, anger, and delusion in our mind? Those things lead us to do bad things. We should be concerned about those unwholesome roots. We should be concerned about eradicating those unwholesome roots. Did anybody taught you those things, other than a Supreme Buddha, other than a monk, other than an ordinary disciple of a Supreme Buddha? No. Why they never taught you? Because they never knew those things. They never knew those things. Then can't we come to a conclusion, children? A Supreme Buddha is unique and his realization is also unique. He is a great person with unique qualities. And he realized this true Dhamma, the impermanence nature in this world, without a guidance of a teacher. That's why we worship the Supreme Buddha. That's why we keep the Supreme Buddha as a leader. That's why we go refuge to the Supreme Buddha's realization, the Dhamma. That's why we go to that's why we go refuge to the ordained disciples of Supreme Buddha. Who are they? They are the monks. Now, why do we go refuge to the monks, to the disciples, to the ordained disciples of the Supreme Buddha? They have dedicated their life to practice Dhamma. How they have dedicated? Now, if it's a lay person, don't they have to earn money? Don't they have to go for jobs? They have to go to jobs. They have to go to work. Then they have to occupy their time from morning 8 until evening 5 to earn money. Sometimes they have to work overtime. Then will they have enough time to dedicate this life to Dhamma? No. But monks, they give up the sensual pleasures. If they were from rich families, even they give up the sensual happiness. They gave up the comfort and they became monks. Now, after you become monks, can you always get what you want? No. And the attractions and the bondage that they had to the relatives. Didn't they give up that? They gave up. Now, if you all were kept for 1 year without parents, can you tolerate? Yeah? Is it possible? 2 years? No calls. Won't see each other. It's difficult to see. They are shaking heads. It's difficult. But, during Supreme Buddha's time, there were monks at 7-year-old. At the age of 7 years, they left the lay life. Even now, there are small children at 7 years, at the age of 7 years, at the age of 8 years, they leave the lay life and become monks. Now, even when you think of it, is it easy? It's difficult to think even. If somebody is doing that, isn't it great? Why it is great, dear children? He practices this Dhamma and he do good things. And let's say if he were to die one day, now will he have a lot of things to give up? Will he have a lot of things to give up? Now, if it's an ordinary person, he will think of the parents. He will think of the properties. He will think of the vehicles, about the relatives, about the children. Then a lot of bondages, isn't it? Can he die peacefully? No. But a monk who has less bondages, who has less desires to the world, can't he die peacefully? He can die peacefully. If a person dies peacefully, where will he born? He will be born in a good destination. Now let's say a person dies having craving to the properties, having attraction towards the belongings that he has. What will happen to him? What's the danger that he has? He may come back to the same house. Will it be as a human being? No, it will be as a ghost, or else as a snake, as a python. Is it good? No, dear children. So that's the danger in this samsara. That's why Supreme Buddha preached, what should be our first goal? In the list, what should be our first ambition? To escape from suffering, to become a Sotapanna disciple of Supreme Buddha. So children, when you come to the Dhamma school, the benefits that you get is you'll be able to live happily in this life as well as next life. Now after you come to this Dhamma school, weren't you able to tolerate, weren't you able to control your anger? You were able to control your anger. Now if previously if you were killing these small insects, after you came to Dhamma school, didn't you start avoiding killing living beings? You started avoiding. Then some of you all may be watching those unnecessary cartoons. After you came to Dhamma school, didn't you stop avoiding? Didn't you start watching good things? You started watching good things. And didn't you start worshipping your parents? Didn't you start waking up early morning? Yeah, then didn't you start worshipping the Supreme Buddha early morning? You started worshipping the Supreme Buddha early morning. What else? Now, did you do Metta Bhavana earlier before coming to Dhamma school? Huh? Who did Metta Bhavana before coming to Dhamma school? Less. After coming to Dhamma school, now there were children, they used to go for holidays, and even during the holiday, when they were not at home, they used to do Metta Bhavana. They used to sit on a line, and they used to gather the aunties and uncles, and sat together, and did Metta Bhavana. And dear children, in this era, who taught this Dhamma to us in a lucid form? Who was the main person to teach this Dhamma? In this era, in this point of time, Kirivatgoda Jnanananda Mahathera, who was the monk. So now if somebody asks you, who is your teacher? Who is your Dhamma teacher? Who is your Dhamma teacher? Kirivatgoda Jnanananda Mahathera. There's another way we call him, Loku Swamin Wahansa. How we call him? Loku Swamin Wahansa. How do you call him? Loku Swamin Wahansa. He is our noble friend. Who is our noble friend? Our Loku Swamin Wahansa is the noble friend of us. Without him, if he did not preach this Dhamma, will I be here? Will there be monasteries like this? Will we be able to conduct such programs like this? No. So we all got these opportunities to develop wholesome deeds and to abandon unwholesome deeds because of one person. That is, because of our Lokaswami. So dear children, what do you know about life? If somebody asks you, what do you think about life? What do you think about life? So in brief, tell me the nature of life. Dear children, this life, isn't it impermanent? This life is impermanent. Impermanent means there's an origin. We were born, then we survive, then we remain while changing. And we die one day. So, are we staying forever in this world? Are our lives permanent or impermanent? Our lives are impermanent. If our lives are impermanent, that is subjected to suffering or happiness? Subjected to suffering, because this is not remaining in the same way. And if something is impermanent, and if it is suffering, is it under our control? It's not under our control. That means it's not under our control. It's beyond our control. Then the external world, the other people around us, are they permanent or impermanent? Impermanent. Are they subjected to suffering or happiness? Now let's say a mother gets a baby. A mother gives birth to a baby. And she delights in that. She is getting something subjected to happiness or suffering? Suffering. Why? One day that child will leave that mother. But we celebrate, isn't it? Because we thought this child will be with me forever. But when the die changes, when the child doesn't live according to the parents, how do parents feel? Parents feel uncomfortable. But even parents, if they know this sublime Dhamma, will they feel uncomfortable? No. Even children, even in the school, if you have difficulties, when you don't get what you want each and every time, will you be uncomfortable? No, because you know this world is not under our control. And you know we will die one day. And after we die, from the Supreme Buddha's Dhamma, we know we will not be born with the same appearance. Even if you're born in human worlds, there's a possibility of to be born in poor families. Can't we be born in poor families? Can't we be born as blind people? We can be born as blind children. We can be born as deaf. We can be deformed. Can't we be deformed? Can. So we can be born without arms. So that means this appearance that we have is impermanent. So, Supreme Buddha preached, this life is what it is, it's impermanent. And Supreme Buddha preached some similes to understand the impermanent nature of this life. Supreme Buddha preached, this life is like a dewdrop on the tip of a grass blade. Children, Supreme Buddha preached, this life is like a dewdrop on the tip of a grass blade. Do you understand? Now in the morning, if you go and see the garden, there are grass, isn't it? If you go in the morning and check properly, in the early morning, there are small dewdrops, there are small drops in the leaves, in the end of the grass, in the end of the leaves. And it disappears when the sun rises. Yeah, the drop will fall down. The life is also like that. This life can, and Supreme Buddha compared that simile. This life is like a dewdrop on the tip of a grass blade. That drop can fall at any point of time, and that drop can disappear. It's something like that. And that dewdrop and that drop of water on the leaf will what will happen? It will evaporate. It will disappear when the sun rises. The life is also like that. Now, can anybody argue with that simile? No, it's not like that. No, that's why we should respect Supreme Buddha. Then Supreme Buddha preached, this life is like a water bubble. This life is like a... Yeah, be silent later, okay? This life is like a water bubble. What's the nature of a water bubble? Does water bubbles remain? No. What happens? It blasts. Then Supreme Buddha preached, children, this life is like a line drawn on the water. Now, have you heard of this? Have you heard these similes before? Huh? No. Now, when you know these similes, won't these similes help us to be heedful, to do good things? It will help us. And won't this Dhamma, when you learn this Dhamma, won't we be able to form a pleasant mind towards the Buddha? We will be able to form a pleasant mind. When we form a pleasant mind towards the Buddha, what will happen to us? What do we get? What are the benefits we get? We will be able to lead a peaceful and a noble life. Then you are protected in this life as well as next life. And also Supreme Buddha preached, it's like a river flowing down the mountains. Its currents going far and fast, carrying everything with it. When a river is flowing from a mountain towards the sea, when it's flowing fast, don't it carry everything in the river? All the rubbish things, all the branches, all the leaves, whatever the things in the river, whatever the things that force the river, like branches, the things that it could carry, the river is always flowing, isn't it? The river is always flowing. It's flowing fast. It's flowing fast. Like that, this life is ending fast. This life is ending fast. This life is getting closer to death, like the river flows from mountain. It's like water flowing from a mountain. It's like a water stream. Our life is getting used up day by day, getting closer to death. Then Supreme Buddha preached, it's like a strong man making a gob of spit at his tongue tip would spit it out with little effort. It's like you are spitting out a little bit of spit. Just imagine when you feel like spitting out, when a person spits, it's just within a small second, it will be thrown away. Like that, this life is getting closer to death. Then Supreme Buddha preached, it's like a piece of meat thrown into a heated pan which has been heated throughout the day. Just imagine there's a pan which has been heated throughout the day, and a piece of meat is being thrown to that pan. What will happen? It burns very fast. Can you even eat that? No, it will vanish. So Supreme Buddha preached, this life is like a piece of meat thrown into an iron pan, heated all day long, that quickly vanishes. Then Supreme Buddha preached, it's like a cow taken for slaughter. With every step it takes, draws closer to the slaughter. Now when a cow is being taken to the slaughtering house to slaughter, what happens? Our life is like when a cow is being taken to the slaughtering house for slaughter. Each and every slaughter means cutting the head. Supreme Buddha preached, this life is like a cow being taken to the slaughtering house for slaughter. Now each step that cow keeps, each step that cow step is getting closer to death. Each step that cow step is getting closer to death. So how many similes? Supreme Buddha preached 7 similes. What's the first one? This life is like a dewdrop on the tip of a grass blade. Then Supreme Buddha preached, this life is like a water bubble. Then this life is like a line drawn on water with a stick. Then Supreme Buddha preached, it's like a strong man making a gob of spit at his tongue tip, would spit it out with little effort. It's like a piece of meat thrown into an iron pan, heated all day long, that quickly vanishes. When we missed one, what's that? It's like a river flowing from a mountain. Then Supreme Buddha preached, it's like a cow being taken for slaughter. With every step it takes, draws closer to the slaughter, to death. So children, we learned about life today. So what's life? This life is impermanent. And this life is subjected to suffering. Why is subject to suffering? We have to go through a lot of diseases. So when you're not, like cancer. So when you are not born anymore, with the help of the Dhamma, when you are born in divine worlds, won't we have less suffering? We have less suffering. So by learning this sutta, so Supreme Buddha, these 7 similes are in which sutta? In which discourse? It's in the Araka Sutta. What's the name of the sutta? Araka Sutta. What was the sutta we learned today? Araka Sutta. The sutta that we learn, from one sutta we learn just little bit. We learned 7 similes. About what? About life. So by learning the true nature of lives, may all the children have the opportunity to escape from suffering by learning about the true nature of lives and realize the good Dhamma as soon as possible in this Gautama Buddha's dispensation. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.